It began as a spark that ignited millions of hearts across the globe. Their chemistry was effortless, their laughter contagious, and their glances carried stories words could never fully tell. For years, fans have painted Wang and Shen Yue as the perfect pair, a love story that began on screen and spilled into real life. But what if everything we thought we knew was wrong? What if beneath the rumors, the fan edits, and the imagined romance, there existed something far more profound, a friendship so rare, it outshined even love itself? Before we dive deep into this alternate reality, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that changes how you see your favorite stars. Now imagine this. It's late at night on set, the lights have dimmed, and the cameras have stopped rolling. Dylan sits quietly on a wooden bench, exhausted from hours of shooting. Shen Yue walks over, holding 2 cups of warm tea. No rehearsed lines, no cameras capturing the moment, just 2 people sharing silence. Their bond is simple, but strong. They talk about life, about how fame changes people, about how hard it is to stay grounded when the world keeps watching. There's no romantic tension, no hidden confession, just a connection born out of understanding. Over time, this friendship becomes their anchor. When Dylan feels overwhelmed by fame, Shen Yue reminds him of who he was before the lights and the cameras. When Shen Yue doubts herself, Dylan tells her to stop chasing perfection and start chasing purpose. They build a rhythm, one where trust replaces romance, and loyalty becomes the unspoken promise between them. But the world doesn't like simplicity. Fans need stories, the media needs headlines, and rumors need oxygen. Every smile between them becomes a theory, every laugh becomes a hint. Photos are analyzed, interviews dissected, every shared moment turned into proof of love. Yet behind closed doors, they laugh about it. They joke about being the world's favorite non-couple. What the world sees as potential lovers, they see as best friends who found home in each other's honesty. Still, being just friends isn't easy when millions want something else. There are days when the pressure is heavy, when even the simplest interaction turns into gossip. But instead of running from it, they embrace it. They start to use their dynamic to tell deeper stories on screen, not just romantic ones, but ones about trust, resilience, and emotional courage. Directors notice their synergy, not as lovers, but as performers who understand the emotional depth of human connection. One day, while filming an emotional scene, Shen Yue breaks down unexpectedly. She's supposed to cry for the camera, but the tears come from a real place. Dylan doesn't follow the script, he steps forward and just holds her hand. The scene continues, unrehearsed, raw, and real. When the director yells cut, the room is silent. That unscripted moment becomes one of the most memorable in their careers. It wasn't love in the romantic sense, but it was love in the truest form, compassion, trust, and unspoken care. Years later, when fans look back, they begin to see it differently. The interviews where Dylan calls her his partner in chaos. The award shows where Shen Yue laughs when his name is called first. The way they talk about each other, always with warmth but never possession. Maybe, just maybe, the real story was never about romance. Maybe it was about 2 souls who met, understood each other deeply, and chose to stay in each other's lives without labels. The industry is full of fleeting connections, friendships that fade once the cameras stop rolling. But Dylan and Shen Yue's connection stands apart. It reminds people that friendship can be powerful enough to rival love stories. That you don't need to hold someone's hand to hold them close. That real bonds are built not on sparks, but on sincerity. So what if they were just friends? Maybe that's the best version of their story. Because sometimes, the absence of romance doesn't make a story smaller, it makes it purer. It shows the beauty of 2 hearts growing side by side, not as lovers, but as equals who simply cared enough to stay. In a world obsessed with labels, their friendship would become the quiet rebellion. It would teach fans to stop searching for love in every connection and start seeing the beauty in loyalty, in trust, in genuine companionship. And that lesson, more than any romance, would be the one that lasts forever. Because in the end, love fades, rumors die, but true friendship, that kind that survives fame, distance, and time, remains unshakable. And maybe, That's the story Dylan, Wang and Shen Yue were always meant to tell. The lights had dimmed on the set long ago, but Shen Yue still sat there, the soft echo of the director's voice fading into memory. The cameras were gone, yet something inside her felt like it was still rolling. She looked at the empty chair beside her, the same chair Dylan had occupied for years, through laughter, rehearsals, and long hours under the sun. It wasn't love she felt, not in the way the world wanted it to be. It was something quieter, something purer, and somehow much heavier. For years, the world had watched them and written stories of its own. Every smile became a confession. Every glance turned into a secret. Every silence was treated like proof of something deeper. But behind all that noise, there was only a friendship, honest, raw, and misunderstood. Dylan knew it too. He had tried to explain it once, but even he could see how impossible it was to convince millions that something so beautiful didn't need romance to exist. He had said to her once during a late shoot, his voice low and tired, that people will never believe friendship can be stronger than love. Shen Yue had smiled then, a small, tired smile that said she understood. She always did. They weren't two halves searching for a whole. They were two complete souls who happened to meet in a world that demanded a story. The kind of connection that needed no labels, no promises, no forever. And yet, when they stood together, the air carried a kind of stillness that made even the loudest hearts quiet down. There were nights when Shen Yue scrolled through old messages from Dylan, lines filled with jokes and casual moments from days that no longer existed. She could almost hear his laughter again, the sound that used to fill the gaps between takes, the one that made even the longest hours feel like minutes. But time, as always, had moved on. Dylan had new projects, new faces around him. The warmth remained, but the distance was real now, not cold, not broken, just different. Rumors continued to follow them. Articles still twisted their friendship into something it never was. But Dylan and Shen Yue had stopped trying to correct the world. They had learned that some truths didn't need to be defended. Real friendship didn't demand validation. It just existed, quietly, beneath all the noise. One evening, months after their last shoot together, Dylan sent her a simple message. No grand words, no hidden meaning. Just, I saw our old scene today. We did something real, didn't we? Shen Yue read it 3 times before replying. Yes, we did. She didn't need to say more, because that was the truth. They had done something real. Not a love story, not a secret romance. But something even rarer, a connection that didn't need to be seen to be felt. When they met again at an award show, years later, the cameras went wild. The crowd roared as they walked side by side, smiling like nothing had changed. And maybe, in a way, nothing really had. The world still wanted to see love in their eyes, but those who looked closer could see something even deeper, peace. Peace in knowing that not every story needs a romantic ending. Some stories are about finding someone who understands you completely, even without saying a word. Someone who holds a space for you, even from afar. As the night drew to a close, Shen Yue stood by the window of her hotel room, the city lights glowing below like stars that had fallen to the ground. She whispered softly to herself, maybe the world will never understand, but that's okay. Dylan, somewhere across the city, was looking at the same sky, perhaps thinking the same thing. Because what they shared was something too rare to be defined, too honest to be explained. It wasn't love, and yet, it was everything that love was meant to be, selfless, quiet, lasting. And so, their story didn't end with a kiss or a confession. It ended with a truth, that friendship, when real, can outlive every rumor, every headline, and every illusion the world tries to write. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but for them, the story never truly ended. It simply lived on, in silence, between two souls who never needed to say more than they already had.